Hello, my wolf pack, and welcome to the newest episode of Dawnbringer SMP lore. Now, I bet you're wondering where I'm sitting. Well, I'll get into that when I get into the lore. But here's the thing. This video is going to be a bit different than the others. As for one, it's exclusive to YouTube, so you YouTube viewers are getting exclusive content that will not premiere on my Twitch. So, have fun with that. You're gonna have a few videos like this. And as for how it's different and why it's exclusive, it's because I had to do some role-playing in our SMP's Discord server. So I had to do it text-based instead of on the server, as one of the people involved is a very busy individual and does not have that much time to be on the server. Not enough to, well, be in my streams. And especially not on Fridays, like I always stream. So it's not the easiest thing to work around. So the best workaround we have is to do it text-based instead of on the server. So I hope you can understand. And as for the lore, well, I am going to read it like an audiobook. So I hope you all enjoy, and if you do, feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. And if you want to talk to fellow fans like you, feel free to join the Discord. It's the first link in the description. Alright, I hope you all enjoy. Star takes another look at her notes of the Snow Queen and sighs. There must be a peaceful solution to this, Cass. I still don't know what to do other than talking to her. Her ears droop and her tail wraps around her. She removes the crown from her head. She gave me this crown and she said she would protect me, but was that a lie? It's been 3 weeks now since I've seen her. She's following through on the fact that she said she wouldn't hurt me. She looks up. I just want to understand her. I guess I can go and talk to Yonk and Jed about this, like Emuna recommended. It'll also allow me to speak to Yonk about fauna magic as well. She puts the crown back on and stands. Then it's a plan. Come on, Cassie, let's go. After a bit of a walk, Star enters the Temple of Yonk, book of notes in hand and Cassiopeia at her heels. How do you think we should go about talking to Yonk, Cass? What kind of offering would be best for them? While Star is lost in thought, Cass notices a presence behind them. He turns around and stands behind Star, growling and protecting Star from behind. Huh? What's got you all upset, Cass? Star turns around, putting a hand on Cass's head, calming her. She looks up at the person in the doorway. Oh, hello! Sorry about Cass. He was just trying to protect me. Who are you? Are you trying to speak with Yonk too? She cocks her head to the side, one ear going down to show her confusion even more. Oh no, I can do that anytime, really. What's more important is what you're doing here. Are you looking for a book? I can assist you if needed. She closes the door to the library behind her, and then stoops down to tie her shoe, seemingly unbothered by the dog as she ignores the inquiry about her identity. Across her back is a trident. She has an axe at both hips, one netherite and the other a blade of green-blue prismarine. Her shoes are leather, blue-gray in hue, and glimmering with magic. As she stands, a brown tabby cat bounds down the staircase to meet her, murrowing and rubbing up on her legs with a purr. She gives him a little pat and then shoos him onto the counter of the front desk, where he sits, watching the pair with interested eyes. I don't believe I've met you prior. Are you new here? She passes by Star, adjusting a book on the shelf that had fallen askew. Your soul is interesting. Unique. The confused look stays for a moment as Star doesn't quite understand the comment about her soul, but appreciates what she believes was a compliment. She smiles. Yes, I am. Alongside Golden. You may have met him. I'm Star. I would like to find as many books on the Snow Queen as I can, and I would like to speak with Yonk and someone named Jet about that as well. I want to understand her, who she is, why she came to me and helped me, and why she's doing everything to everyone else. I want to understand her and her motives. Maybe then we can reach a peaceful solution without having to fight. Star looks askance and sighs. ears falling a bit. I just don't want anyone to be hurt like I have been in the past. Even the Queen herself. Star walks over to one of the bookshelves. Would you know how to get in contact with Yonk by chance? I do. And Jet as well, she says, placing her hands in the pockets of her jeans, leaning back on her heels. She seems to be contemplating. Then she moves on, without saying anything, but a little smile crosses her lips for a moment. All these people coming to the library, so concerned about the Ice Queen these days. You must be Star then, she mused, before pausing to blow some dust off the shelves. Well, I can tell you anything you'd like to hear about the Queen, but I fear you may not like it. My opinion on her is... let's just say she and I aren't on the best of terms, she hums, thinking again. Tell me first, what do you know of her? I'm interested in your story, since you seem to have stepped in her snare. What did she promise you? Star places the book in her hands back on the shelf and sits down next to Cass, petting him. Well, I met her in a dream. You see, I wasn't always a werewolf. When I first woke up here, I was a human. I had lost my memory and woke up in Golden's house. Ever since, I was trying to regain it and find out why I had awoken in his house. No one could really help. I tried to speak to Cyrus and Mojave about it even, but neither of them wanted to help. So my last resort was Emuna and Ryan. So I left them a letter and stayed in Ryan's underground lab. While I was there, the night before they found my letter, she appeared to me in my dreams. She helped me to remember everything. After that, she gave me her crown and said she would protect me if anyone were to hunt me down again. She didn't really ask for anything in return from what I remember. That's all I knew of her until I spoke to Ryan and Emuna further about her. Everything I know is in this book. Star raises the book in her left hand and shakes it slightly. I know Emuna and Ryan's perspectives of her at least. I can allow you to read it if you want. She stands and offers the book to Yonk. She scoffed quietly. Sounds like those two. Unhelpful blokes as always, C&M. Perfect for each other, I guess. She shook her head. She doesn't have anything to gain from you, aside from your allegiance. But that alone is very valuable. It gives a god its power, to pledge to them, to lend them the magic from your soul, and make them strong, whether you are aware of it or not. She taps her chin a bit, looking over the book, before taking it and opening it up, flipping through it. Yes, this looks about right, she said with a shrug. I already know their opinions. They're close with Jet, but I can't resist a good read regardless. You said you're a Lycan then. How did that come about? She glanced up. Her pale gray eyes flickered with a burning curiosity. You should be careful with those memories she gave you, she added. They could easily be something fabricated, something you don't want to see, rather than what actually is. Star takes the book and writes a new entry. She looks up. It just happened when I woke up. All of my memories are of when I was a wolf, from my birth to when Golden and I got here. I don't think they were a fabrication, not just out of bias, but logically speaking, with everything that happened to me in the past, being hunted by not just humans, but also a wolf pack, and losing my parents to said pack, and fighting Golden, it just doesn't feel like something worth fabricating. It's too elaborate to be made up in my mind, you know? I had a flash of a memory in a dream a week or so before meeting the Queen of me being chased by people, so it adds up. I don't think she was involved in that one either, as she never showed up or spoke. It was just the memory. But back on the whole werewolf thing, when I woke up after regaining my memories, I looked at my reflection and the ears and tail were just there. I was born one, but I lost the ability to change due to trauma. My eyes were even red while I was freaking out, but once I calmed down, they changed back to brown. Star rubs her arm, and her tail wraps around her in comfort, seemingly uncomfortable at that aspect of herself. A unique soul indeed, she said, nodding a little. Very interesting. Chin up. You'll find it. You'll fit right in here. So don't worry too much about your appearance. She closed the book. She read it exceptionally fast, especially considering they had been talking while she was reading. She handed it back. Regardless of if some of the memories are real or not, be cautious. The Ice Queen is... she knows what she wants, and she'll get it, regardless of collateral. She shrugged. She destroyed the last plane we lived on. If we aren't careful, she'll do the same with this one, too. After a moment, she crossed the room, opening up a book from one of the shelves. It is unlabeled. She skims a few pages idly. Anyways, you mentioned earlier that you don't want to fight her. I have no intentions of that. She isn't being easily pinpointed in order to fight, anyway. I simply want to keep her out to protect my new home. I'm sure you understand. Star nods. Yeah, I get it. I want to protect this place too. But as for destroying the last plane you lived on, what do you mean by that? Star moves back next to Cass and sits down, looking attentively at the friendly person in front of her. Well, she ripped a portal in the sky above the community house. Tons of ice and water magic came through in the rift. That destabilized the plane, and it kind of just... She held up a piece of paper that had been sitting on the front desk and tore it in half. We opened a portal and came through in the nick of time, but anything and everyone who was left behind was presumably forced into an endless winter, or possibly stopped existing entirely, lost in the void. She used a fellow named Simply, an ice mage, as a lackey to help her. She probably promised him some sort of divinity, since that's what he was seeking, and his comprehension about how godhood works seemed somewhat, she gestured vaguely, skewed. As Yonk speaks, Star writes down every detail of what happened in her book. I see, she mumbles to herself. So that's what Emina meant by that. She looks up. Why do you think she did all that? There has to be a reason, at least one better than power or control. I truly don't think those are the only reason. I know she has done a lot of wrong in the past, according to what I've been told, but I think if we learn her side of the story, her motives behind her actions, we can resolve things peacefully, through discussion. Because from everything I have seen thus far, no one has really taken the time to get to know her. Star's ears twitch back for a moment, showing that she's upset by that. She pets Cass to try and calm herself down. You don't want to. She shrugged. I know exactly why she's doing what she's doing. Some ridiculous sum of years ago, Jet stole something from her, in some act of desperation, or maybe just greed. She stole something very important to the Queen. That item then fused with Jet's very being. She intertwined her fingers to show it, and became an inseparable part of her. The Ice Queen wants that thing back, and she will kill Jet and anyone in her path to get it. I've spoken with her many times. There is no equal trade. There is no moving on. She will persist in an endless chase of Jet Dawnbringer until one of the two of them dies. She takes her axe from its holster, the prismarine one, which glitters and hums and jolts just a bit in her hand. It is not an act of aggression. She is simply observing the blade. Sometimes, Star, you have to accept that some people are wrong. They are still people. That doesn't change anything. But they are wrong, and they have to pay for it. Star writes down everything Yonk says. When she looks up, Star sees the axe in Yonk's hand first and starts to panic a bit, holding on to Cass tighter. She takes a breath before responding. I get that. But we don't have to be hostile about it. We can find some kind of peaceful resolution. There must be some way to separate the item from Jet. Once we find that, we can give it back to the Queen and everything will be peaceful again. What was it that Jet stole? A catalyst to cast magic through, she says simply. And it currently is keeping her alive, so I'm not sure if separating her from it is a very good or worthwhile idea. You are, she bites her tongue, thinks a moment. Very hopeful, though. That's, I guess, admirable. I'm already looking into magic to keep her out of this plane, though. Large pillars of stone made for repelling certain beings from entering. That should hopefully take care of... She stops. I hadn't thought about what that would do to Jet. We may need to... She paces a little. More research is required, but I can guarantee you that if there was some peaceful arrangement to be met, I would have found it in the last several hundred or thousand or however many years I've been with her. Star writes down a few details. So, what if we made something that could take its place and did surgery to remove it and replace it with the new thing? That way we can keep Jet alive and resolve this whole dispute civilly. As for keeping her out, while that may work for a while, I fear that's only a temporary solution and will only lead us into an infinite cycle. Star spins two of her fingers around each other, of casting her out and her finding a way back in. It would be all for naught in the long run. Maybe we could do both. We could make these pillars and find a way to replace the catalyst in Jet while keeping her alive. Once we have the catalyst, we can send a few people to the Queen to hand it to her. That would put an end to this without leading to an infinite cycle. I'm not sure. I mean, she's in a constant stance of thinking now. She pulls the book off the shelf, flipping through it frantically. That outcome would require the surgery to be successful. The only person I know who could do surgery at all is Ryan, and considering he grew up on a planet with, to my knowledge, no magic, I'm not sure he'd know how to do that. And anyway, she said, the wards would do just fine to buy us many years to figure this all out if they don't kill Jet too. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anyway, my point is, we can't talk this out with her, no matter how much you want that. I have tried every word in the English language in many different combinations to get her to listen to any reason. She doesn't care and wants her dead. You wanting to understand her will not change that. She shook her head. Honestly, I doubt she'd accept just getting back the catalyst. She'd want some sort of compensation. Jet's soul, or servitude, maybe, or mine, or worse. Star's ears pin back, upset that talking may not be the best option. She thinks for a while, then responds with an idea. Well, what if she isn't quite happy or trusting of you? For example, if the guards who nearly killed me a few years ago were to come talk to me, I wouldn't want to tell them anything important or nice. I would be stubborn and push them away, like the Snow Queen seems to be doing with you. So maybe there's a reason she isn't listening to you. Star stands up and starts pacing, deep in thought. Maybe a neutral party is needed here. Maybe someone she isn't familiar with. I know it may not be a great option, but it's better than nothing. So instead of you or someone she knows going, I'll go to her. I am new here, so she doesn't know enough about me to have any kind of bias or hatred towards me. I can get her side of the story and try to find a middle ground that works out best for everyone. Again, while it may not be a great option, you can't deny that it is a possibility. There must be some way to get her to talk on more neutral grounds. And this is the best one I can think of. There must be some way to reason with her. There is no one on this planet that can't be reasoned with. I refuse to believe that. It's just that everyone needs a different method, a different person, or just a different strategy. So I'll go to her, no matter what, and I'll try and figure this out. Well, good luck, I suppose, she said. I won't change what I'm doing, and you can do as you please. I won't stop you. She pulled a new book down. The old one was still open in her hand. She gently tossed it to the side to look at the new one. Just remember, if you find yourself in a situation you cannot get out of, that you can call on your friends. Adamari and Golden care about you, even if they refuse to hear you. And I will help if needed too. For a moment, you swear you can see the dark silhouette of wings protruding from her back. and then they are gone. Star smiles, thankful to have a new friend she can rely on. Her tail wags. Thank you. Though, since that topic is done with, there is something else I needed to talk with Yonk about. After that, I'll go and talk with Jet. I wanted to talk with Yonk about fauna magic. Since I am a werewolf, and all the legends I read say the god Fauna created werewolves, I think I would be able to harness it. I just don't know how to go about it. What do you know about it? Oh, here, she said, opening a barrel and pulling out a book labeled Fauna Magic. She held it out to Star. This should help with that. It really is peculiar, your condition. Your physical attributes shift, which isn't common in creatures. Shapeshifters are rare. I didn't know Fauna had the capability to create them. She must be rather good at her craft. She circled around Star, observing her. Harnessing the magic used to fuel your existence would just take a bit of practice. It may be good to talk to Emuna, or maybe her brother, about using it. I won't be able to assist you much in that endeavor, as I wield Fauna's opposite, and to practice Fauna magic makes me kind of queasy. She snickers a little. I can get Jet for you, if you'd like. It's very easy for me to get a hold of her. Star takes the book. Thanks. From what I read, Fauna created werewolves due to a human sacrificing a wolf to revive his loved one. Though Emuna said that isn't something Fauna would do. So I plan to talk to her about that and about harnessing the magic as well. Star skims over the conditions of the book briefly. If you could get Jet, that would be nice. If they are busy, though, I can try and get in contact another time. Star smiles at Yonk. 1 second, I'll go check. She rubs her hands together, says a few short words in another language, and then she has nothing but black sparks, twinkling down from where she once stood. Hi, Yonk. Hi, Yonk. Jet's perching in Emuna's safe room, book and quill in hand. Time for my daily walkabout? She arches an eyebrow at Yonk. Yup, come here. She stuck out her hand. Gotta get some fresh air. Chat with a werewolf. Jet coos at Yonk and steps down, reaching out towards Yonk. A werewolf? Why does she want to talk to me, bird girl? What do you imagine? Ice Queen stuff, I guess. All these stubborn mortals want to talk about these days, it seems. She shook her head. This one thinks she's going to be able to reason with her. I already told her she can't, but she insists so. She shrugged. Ready? No, but let's do it anyway. She smiles thinly and grabs Yonk's hand. They return. She wipes her hand off on her pants. All right, here she is, Star. Star looks up from petting Cass and smiles. Hello, I'm Star. You must be Jet. It's nice to meet you. She offers her hand for a handshake. Jet reaches out her hand gingerly. What can I do for you today? You're wearing an interesting crown. Star smiles sheepishly. Thanks. It's actually connected to what I want to talk to you about. I heard that you have had quite the interaction with the Snow Queen in the past. Mind telling me about that? I know I heard a good bit about it from Yonk, but I want to hear your account. What happened the day you stole the catalyst? Star's head cocks to the side, ears pointing towards Jet. She opens her book of notes, ready to write any new information. Jet freezes. Why do you want to know about the catalyst? Star's ears shift back slightly, and a concerned expression crosses her features. I want to understand exactly what happened that day if I am to try and reason with the Snow Queen. I know Yonk says that it won't work, but I'm thinking that maybe her not listening has to do with who talks to her. Tell me, if you saw someone who wronged you in some way, or someone they are friends with, would you be at all that willing to welcome them? Would you tell them anything of importance? Star raises an eyebrow, curious of Jet's response. Jet raises an eyebrow back. I actually do not treat people who have wronged me and mine. Her voice becomes lyrical, an almost subliminal sweetness. Why offer those who seek to harm me a free chance to harm again? And you want to know about the heart, of course. It was never supposed to be known this widely, even the slightest whisper could lead to its endangerment. And it did. She keeps an eye on them idly, reading, but with one eye on the two. Star has a confused look on her face. The heart? I have not heard about that. But anyways, she shakes her head, getting back to her original topic. That is exactly my point. Maybe the Snow Queen isn't cooperating with you or those close to you because she doesn't want to give you anything else to use against her. So maybe someone she is unfamiliar with, like me, can go to her, learn her side of the story, and try to reason with her. That's my plan. I know it's probably a long shot, but it is a possibility. Now, what is this heart, and what happened the day you stole the catalyst? Star readies her quill to write down everything Jet says. I mean, if I knew, I'd absolutely tell you. I got past the defenses, most of them. You have to understand, the function of this crystal would kill most mortals. Touching it should have meant death. The defenses left I flew over. Again, the heart is its own defense mechanism. I landed on it. It changed. It sunk into my skin. I tripped and fell over and knocked myself out. The Queen discovered me. She gave me a nice room and watched over me while I recovered. Star writes down these new details. Okay, that doesn't seem so bad. What caused her to become hostile then? I know Yonk says it was you stealing the catalyst, but it seems to have been just a freak accident. I mean, she even took care of you. So I'm just confused as to what caused her to change from someone who is willing to care for someone who literally just broke into her abode to the person who is now after your life and willing to do anything to get the catalyst back. The gems on Star's crown glow slightly. She quirked an eyebrow, flipped the page. Don't try anything, she muttered, though who she's speaking to is unclear. She leans against the wall and taps her fingers on the pages. Star looks back at Yonk, confused. I am not intending any harm. That's the last thing I want. All I want is information. I am not like the Snow Queen. I won't hurt anyone to get what I want. The gems stop glowing after that statement. She does not respond, aside from a small shrug. Jet throws a complicated look in Yonk's direction. Because I left. Star writes that down. I see. Did you two talk while you were recovering? If so, what about? Star leans down to pet Cass. Mostly trying to find out what happened. She shrugs, twitches her hands to gesture at herself. I am a freak of magic. Also how important it was for me to stay safe and with her. I suddenly became quite an integral part of the Winter Court. She throws a complex gaze at the wall. I did not want to be treasured. Star's ears point up, intrigued by the new information. I can understand, but what is the Winter Court? The Winter Court of the Snow Queen? Her nobles, her trusted. The mortal god has something familiar. The mortal god has something similar, if more limited. Jet smiles indulgently at Star. No one is strongest on their own. Limited, she scoffed quietly. Right. She flipped her pages. Jet was not a part of the court, she interjects. She was a tool for them. That's why she left, to avoid being used. Right, Jet? She gives Jet a look. Jet's eye twitches. I was unhappy with the emphasis placed on my mandatory participation in rituals, and I made it very clear. Sufficient. Carry on. She went back to looking at the book. Star looks between them after writing everything down, suspicious of that interaction. Her ears fall back slightly. Right. And what has she been doing since? I know the story of what happened to the last plane, but more specifically, what has she been doing to you? Jet's face dips. Calling me back. She wants me, needs me, adores me. Well, in her own way, I guess. She wants to know me, know how I survived, know what granted me immunity from, well, the mortal god would know, and Emunut would too. Let's call it fast-acting soul sickness. We can call it sudden and abrupt lack of all magic in a body. But more than that, she wants me safe in a tower somewhere where no one can reach me and where no one tries to kill me. Like your friend Golden. Star writes that down. When she looks up, she seems lost in thought for a bit, as if she is trying to figure something out. After a bit, she speaks again. Now, as I am not really from here, there is one thing I don't understand. All of this talk of souls and soul sickness. Mind elaborating on those? Jet leans back, folding her wings more comfortably around her. Well, Yonk, you researched this, right? I did. She shrugged. Essentially, soul sickness is a condition in which the soul becomes damaged due to a massive influx of magic mixed with intense stress. Usually it occurs when a mage is in a dire situation and overworks themselves more than their soul can handle. Symptoms include lethargy, lack of emotional control, loss of control of magic, and eventually death, among other things. She tisks quietly. It's a beast of a sickness. Not fun to deal with. Treating it is difficult. Star's ears pin back in slight concern. Oh, wow. I can understand how the Queen would be confused by that then. As for souls themselves? Hold on. She turns, takes a few paces to the bookshelf, and rifles through it. After a moment, she pulled out a piece of paper. In pretty good condition, with some sketches. These sketches are far better than the ones you, the writers, are about to see, but I made these on Snapchat in class, so they are very ugly, lol. Every person has a soul, a sort of magical core that makes them who they are. The magic is what powers their life force and their sentience. Every soul looks different. Yours is sort of purplish gold, with a deep green center. It's like a magic fingerprint, kind of. She points at the paper. Those white cracks are the sickness. Emuna and I no longer have these cracks, but rather more like whispers of cracks, like a scar of sorts. Star writes down this info and smiles. Okay, thank you. I think I just about asked everything I need. Though I do have one more question for you, Jet. How did you know Golden was my friend? I never told you much about me this entire time. Rather, you have been the one to tell me about yourself. So how did you know? Her ears fold back a bit and one falls to the side. Her tail is wagging a bit at the thought of Golden. She snorts loudly. I think you've been caught. She crosses her arms and leans against the wall with a smirk at Jet. Jet squints. He literally never stops talking about you. Are you kidding? Star smiles. Okay. It's nice to know he cares that much. Thank you for telling me all of this. I owe you one. If you ever need anything, my home is in the forest just past the axolotl statue, near the mob grinder. Come on, Cassio. Let's head home. I bet Leo misses you. Cassiopeia stands up and follows Star out. Before leaving, she gives a friendly wave goodbye. I'll see you guys around. And that is everything between me and Yonk. This takes place just a week after everything I talk about with Emuna. In terms of, being a werewolf and everything about the Snow Queen. Yeah, it takes place 1 week after that. So, I hope you enjoyed. I honestly really did enjoy doing this in the Discord. Writing it all out was a lot of fun. Not to say that acting on the server isn't fun. Trust me, it is. But this was fun to do as well, because it really got me thinking about, how to answer and everything. I mean, there was one moment where Yonk had literally had me stuck for several minutes, because I didn't know how to respond. So I just had to completely, stop my line of thinking and think in a different way. So instead of thinking, how do I respond to this, I had to think, well, what's another option to go about this? What are other options that we have? And that's what got me to think, oh, maybe it's not going to talk to the Snow Queen, rather who talks to the Snow Queen, So that's what got that response up. That one was a doozy to think of, but I hope you all enjoyed. And as I said, if you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe and comment down below. And again, Discord is the first link in the description. I hope you all enjoyed. Goodbye!